they have in common. They are beautiful, ordered, harmonious, yes, all these things. But especially, and what strikes to the heart, they live. Each one of us wants to be able to bring a building or part of a town to life like this. It is a fundamental human instinct, as much a part of our desire as the desire for children. It is, quite simply, the desire to make a part of nature, to complete a world which is already made of mountains, streams, snowdrops, and stones, with something made by us, as much a part of nature and a part of our immediate surroundings. Each one of us has somewhere in his heart the dream to make a living world, a universe. Those of us who have been trained as architects have this desire perhaps at the very centre of our lives, that one day, somewhere, somehow, we shall build one building which is wonderful, beautiful, breathtaking, a place where people can walk and dream for centuries. In some form, every person has some version of this dream. Whoever you are, you may have the dream of one day building a most beautiful house for your family, a garden, a fountain, a fish pond, a big room with soft light, flowers outside and the smell of new grass. In some less clear fashion, anyone who is concerned with towns has this same dream, perhaps for an entire town. And there is a way that a building or a town can actually be brought to life like this. There is a definable sequence of activities which are at the heart of all acts of building, and it is possible to specify precisely under what conditions these activities will generate a building which is alive. All this can be made so explicit that anyone can do it. And just so, the process by which a group of independent people make part of a town alive can equally be made precise. Again, there is a definable sequence of activities, more complex in this case, which are at the heart of all collective building processes. And it is possible to specify exactly when these processes will bring things to life. And once again, these processes can be made so explicit and so clear that any group of people can make use of them. This one way of building has always existed. It is behind the building of traditional villages in Africa and India and Japan. It was behind the building of the great religious buildings, the mosques of Islam, the monasteries of the Middle Ages, and the temples of Japan. It was behind the buildings of the simple benches and cloisters and arcades of English country towns, of the mountain huts of Norway and Austria, the roof tiles on the walls of castles and palaces, the bridges of the Italian Middle Ages, the Cathedral of Pisa. In an unconscious form, this way has been behind almost all ways of building for thousands of years. But it has become possible to identify it only now by going to a level of analysis which is deep enough to show what is invariant in all the different versions of this way. This hinges on a form of representation which reveals all possible construction processes as versions of one deeper process. First, we have a way of looking at the ultimate constituents of the environment, the ultimate things which a building or a town is made of. As we shall see in chapters 4 and 5, every building, every town, is made of certain entities which I call patterns. And once we understand buildings in terms of their patterns, we have a way of looking at them which makes all buildings, all parts of a town similar, all members of the same class of physical structures. Second, we have a way of understanding the generative processes which give rise to these patterns. In short, the source from which the ultimate constituents of building come. As we shall see in chapters 10, 11, and 12, these patterns always come from certain combinatory processes which are different in the specific patterns which they generate, but always similar in their overall structure and in the way they work. They are essentially like languages, and again, in terms of these pattern languages, all the different ways of building, although different in detail, become similar in general outline. At this level of analysis, we can compare many